So this 400-page report comes out, the result of a year-long investigation into whether Joe Biden knowingly stored classified documents improperly, many of which were in his home, in his garage, actually, in a badly damaged box. The report mentions a dog bed. I think that's it in the foreground. There's a broken lamp by that brown shelf. Is that a treadmill way in the back? It's hard to tell. Anyway, not exactly the kind of place you'd think a president would store highly sensitive information. But the big headline is in the very first line of the executive summary. We conclude that no criminal charges are warranted in this matter. What's interesting, though, is the reason. The special counsel Robert Hur, who wrote this report, thinks it would be hard to convince a jury that Biden intended to keep these documents because, in his words, Mr. Biden would likely present himself to a jury, as he did during our interview of him, as a sympathetic, well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory, which is a hell of a way to describe the President of the United States. So Biden's in a weird position, right? Gladly accepting the outcome.
I was pleased to see he reached a firm conclusion that no charges should be brought against me,
while being mad as hell about the sideways insult that led there.
I'm well-meaning and I'm an elderly man and I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been president. I put this country back on its feet. I don't need his recommendation. That's totally out.
How bad is your memory, and can you continue as president?
My memory is so bad I let you speak.
So let's go through every instance I could find where Biden's memory is criticized. And at the end, we'll show you how Biden tried to get out ahead of this report, but failed. The earliest reference you'll find is when the special counsel writes, Mr. Biden's memory was significantly limited, both during his recorded interviews with the ghostwriter in 2017 and in his interview with our office in 2023. So the ghostwriter he's talking about there is who Biden shared some of this classified information with while he was writing his second memoir in 2017. Now, no one is suggesting classified info actually made it into the book, but the tapes of these conversations were a big part of the evidence that the special counsel looked at. It comes up again and again. Mr. Biden's recorded conversations with Zwanitzer, that's the ghostwriter, from 2017 are often painfully slow, with Mr. Biden struggling to remember events and straining at times to read and relay his own notebook entries. If this feels like a lot of detail for what's usually a pretty clinical legal examination of evidence, it's rooted in what Americans have been noting about Joe Biden for years.
The most damaging things that can happen in politics are things that reinforce a meme that's out there that is hurting you. And the central meme that is hurting the president is this issue of age.
The Associated Press commissioned a poll last summer asking more than 1,000 people, what is the first word or phrase that comes to mind when you think of Joe Biden? More than a quarter of responses had to do with his age. Old, outdated, elderly. But the next most common set of responses had to do with the fogginess of age. Slow, bumbling, confused. Even among Democrats, 69% of respondents said he was too old to effectively serve another 4-year term as president.
People do, even Democrats who like Joe Biden and plan to support him, they do have concerns about his age.
Perhaps the most savage indictment of Biden's memory in the special counsel report came on page 208. In his interview with our office, Mr. Biden's memory was worse. He did not remember when he was vice president, forgetting on the first day of the interview when his term ended, and forgetting on the second day of the interview when his term began. He did not remember, even within several years, when his son Beau died. For Biden, that crossed a line.
How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business. Let me tell you something. I don't need anyone to remind me when he passed away.
But the report goes on. It cites limitations in his recall, limited precision, diminished faculties, faulty memory. The effect of this is to paint the president as a forgetful, dawdling, mentally unreliable old man. And Biden's own special counsel had thoughts. So just a few days ago, before this report was made public, special counsel Richard Sauber wrote a letter on Biden's behalf to special counsel Robert Hur, who wrote this report. The very first issue he raises is about what he calls highly prejudicial language to describe a commonplace occurrence. Such comments have no place in a Department of Justice report, particularly one that in the first paragraph announces that no criminal charges are warranted. He also points out the dates of the interviews between Biden and special counsel Robert Hur, October 8th and October 9th. That was immediately after the Hamas attacks in Israel, killing more than 1,200 Israelis. So, Sauber argues, how accurate is it to so repeatedly question a man's mental faculties for forgetting things that happened years ago in the midst of what would become one of the biggest geopolitical crises of our time? Bottom line, the man was busy.
That's
Your
my
memory has gotten worse, Mr.
No, look,
President.
my memory is not good. My memory is fine. My memory, take a look at what I've done since I become president.
Without getting into the question of whether the criticism of Biden is fair, it's undeniable that it has, over time, occupied more and more political space. He has referred to conversations he had with world leaders who were dead at the time, like when he confused French President Macron with long-dead ex-French President François Mitterrand.
And I sat down and I said, America's back. And Mitterrand from France looked at me and said, you know, how long are you back for?
He once struggled to remember the name of the group Hamas, stumbling for a bit and then just referring to them as the opposition until someone in the room reminded him. And even in that news conference yesterday, where he insisted he is mentally fit for office, he mistakenly called the president of Mexico Sisi, which was probably referring to Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who is the president of Egypt.
President of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in.
It is true, all of us make mistakes at times and misstate things, and that is, we're human beings. The problem is this has become a real thing. Now, every time the president does that, it becomes a story. It becomes the thing, and it goes viral on social media where he's getting pounded on this age issue.
So was this special counsel report into the improper storage of classified documents just a well-reasoned examination of Biden's intent and the likelihood of conviction? Or was it, as Democrats say, a political potshot from a Republican lawyer?
Mr. President, for months when you were asked about your age, you would respond with the words, "Watch me." Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the judgment of the press.
The report's conclusion is just one line. For the foregoing reasons, we conclude that no criminal charges are warranted in this matter. But the damage may be done.